Oh, you wanted signatures. Nope, it said Township Village Treasurer, clerk or treasurer.
I was trying to figure out how to get such a weird, what do I do with my arms? I got like long circles on them from the doorknob. I get that one in my finger there, like, how did I smuck the other day? I realized I oh, are they together? Oh, they're together.
Yeah, there's 2 pages to it.
All right, and they had them spaced out. I was thinking grab one from each pile. Like a 5-day.
You were working though. Oh, shit. Like 6:30.
Pages.
Where's the second page?
2 pages.
One's the second page.
They're together if they're stacked up.
These are all the same.
Okay.
So have to guess.
Could you make them today?
Oh, you're looking better than
Beginning in progress.
Yeah.
Working on
I didn't, I'm turning a heel morning stuff and that requires a little
SCBA here.
more
A
attention.
little more thought?
Yeah, than just.
The state
I was in Des Moines last weekend and I was in
Okay.
They cut it, now they might change that next year.
And then she
But
died.
as of this year, there's no
And
funding
I
for
went
that.
to the yarn shop. and
But next year, they might change it, and so then we
I said,
might be able to
try that.
do that again.
I read, I believe.
Right now.
And I did 2 yards.
All doesn't mean we're not gonna ask.
4 days.
Right.
Have you been to the Alpaca fair yet? I wanna go to
Never
the.
been there.
Be right back.
Done
They have it, well, because there's so many alpacas. Same thing, they're shearing them, they're doing the spinning.
Just bring my, I have a, when we went out west to see the buffalo around it, I bought buffalo yarn.
Okay.
And then this was $35 years ago.
Oh, gosh.
Look what I did. $35, you betcha. But I made a little,
Yeah.
thin thread through it, which
Okay.
kind of heated up a little bit.
There's a shop in Freedom, you can take your furniture.
I've been there to that one before, I was for there for.
What's our address?
Township.
What's the building?
Yeah.
420.
That's yours. But I was mine here.
Well, it's a specialty.
67267.
If you took in your
I'm
own,
sorry.
yeah, you could take in your own hand yarn, or dog fur.
And you threw it away.
Oh, I put it out outside my tree, it helps keep the
This were,
rest.
But we just got her from
I used to collect it from the beauty salons because it,
I read that.
Yeah. they're, well, I make a Tabasco paste and put it on the bark over the winter, and that helps take care of the deer too from the bark.
And so then you just go into the system.
Oh, I do that, you know, when eggshells, and our Roger across the street collects coffee grounds and puts it out. Help keep the squirrels and chickens.
And we're gonna try that. Chipmunks.
Basically, sir, we get equipment, we're not gonna give it away.
Grounds, big
Oh, do they?
Yeah, he goes up there.
I do. I keep mine, I say my garden.
So do I. Yeah.
I drink 8 cups of coffee a day, so
Young
I.
lady gets things.
Come on, come on.
Okay.
I have a question.
But if I say, so what, how do they take it around with the chipmunks?
I don't trust myself.
You put it, well, you know, when you ground it, you just need a cup. But yeah, you put it where you don't want it. Hi. He says it's helping, he says it's helping a little bit.
Yes, I am. I was. Yes, yes. Yes, we talked about that. My husband. Yes.
No, that's not.
It's only 9 years, buddy.
I say, I have a cough drop in case you need it. We gave her a minute already, but I didn't give her a cough drop.
All right, we're getting ready to start the recording.
Okay.
Recording in progress.
Well, good evening, folks. As you heard, we are recording the meeting. Wow, someone didn't want to be recorded and they jumped off the Zoom. Anyhow, welcome to Edenville Township's board meeting, public hearing, and General Appropriations Act, or GAA, review meeting. It will be a full evening. We will try to move as quick as we can, but no quicker on that. I have been accused of being a loud mouth, and yet sometimes people find I'm hard to hear. If someone cannot hear me, please raise your hand on that. On that. With that, I'll call us to order. And I would ask if we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Folks, bow your heads, please. Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening and we ask for your presence today. We ask for your guidance, your grace, and Lord, give us some wisdom so that we may conduct business for the township in the best way possible. Now we pray this all in your Son's name. To my fellow board members, are we compliant to the best of our knowledge with the Open Meeting Act? I'm seeing yeses. That's a wonderful thing. I will continue to try to do an impersonation of a note taker. I will try to get these out probably by midday tomorrow to you for draft review on that, and then they will get posted. I've got a whole slew of minutes and recordings that are being sent to the website for update, hopefully in the next 48 hours. I would welcome you all to the June meeting. A quick roll call if we could, please. Kay Peters?
Here.
Sperling? Here. I'm here. Kay Peters? And Starkey?
Yeah.
Next. You've had your packet, several copies of it, I would say, as we got more and more information. I apologize for all the electrons killed and sending it across the wire for that, but do I have a motion to approve or amend the agenda?
I have one addition on 19, we should add code authority in that line to add together.
Okay. You know, I had you speaking about it in comments at the end of the meeting. Meeting got so long, I pulled that out and I forgot to move it. Thank you. All right. Are you moving to approve the amended agenda?
What's the, yes, amended.
Okay. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We have an approved agenda. Okay, as is our new approach to things, we will have several opportunities for public comment this evening. But this is our general public comment opportunity. Anyone from the audience wish to say anything?
I do. Is this at the time that we speak about the budget? Or do we wait till the budget meeting to talk
You
about?
can do it either time. You can say public comments whenever. And there'll be some comment time in the budget process.
Okay, I didn't see where that was in the packet. I didn't see where there was comment, so I can wait.
Any more public comment? Any more public comment? Any more public comment? Okay, we were open from 6:33 to 6:35. Thank you very much. Can I have a motion to approve the special meeting minutes? Yeah, thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Those in favor, are there any other comments, corrections? All right, those in favor of approving the June 4th special meeting minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, we have approved minutes. Treasurer's report.
Okay. Okay, so I'll just go over a few of the,
Page 8, please. It's on page 8 of that.
I have it, okay. In the general fund, for the month of May, we had 141,000 receipts and 66,000 disbursements for an ending balance of 152,000 or over 152,000. And for township savings, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go back to the general fund and explain that 141,000 was for past due roads work bill.
For the County Road Commission.
I'm sorry, I have it right in front of me, that was from November 15th. That was not paid yet.
Okay.
And so in township savings, you can see where that amount was also taken out of savings to put into checking. Savings has a balance of 146,000. And then moving down, there wasn't as much activity. We did have in the tax fund a receipt of over $92,000 of delinquent tax collection paid to us from Midland County. And then I will just go through the total line there of our regular bank accounts. The ending balance where we are at the end of May is just over $1 million. The investments then right below that, as you can see, we have a total of interest earned out of the M-Class accounts. There are 4 investments there, and then 3 money market accounts below that. The total interest earned out of those 7 were $2,600. The total investments there are $1.3 million. Then below that is the Swanton Trust Fund. We have a total ending balance there for May, $2,700,000. No, I'm sorry, no, that's not right. That's the total,
All of our balance.
grand total.
Mhm.
Thanks for catching that, Crystal.
Grand total.
I have my working document in front of me, so I didn't quite catch that.
You want to have that's $400,000, so.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Do I have a
The ending
motion
ba-
to
I'm
accept? Oh, go ahead.
the ending balance, let me clear that up. Swanton Trust Fund, the ending balance for May 31 is $411,000. And then the grand total of our finances for the township is 2.7 million, over 2.7 million, almost 2.8. Okay,
Move the file and receive treasury report.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
I'll say.
All right, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. All right, Kathy, you got an update on ARPA?
Yes, this will be quick. The US Treasury contacted me through email with a couple updates to the reports that we submitted for the ARPA fund expenditures. They had a webinar, walked us right through it. We submitted everything, or made the updates, submitted everything, and we're up to date there.
Is it closed out now? Only?
We don't know.
Oh.
They're evaluating
Hmm.
everything that was submitted.
Okay.
And so on the webinar, I realized that there were a lot of other townships who did mark some of the same inconsistencies as was on our report. So
Little cleanup.
they're going through, I think, piece by piece. So we're good so far.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm not aware of any official correspondence to flag as we go forth. And how about the review of the bills, Ms. Deputy Treasurer?
Yes, all of the bills, invoices received as of today have been reviewed by the trustees and approved. We'll be dispersing roughly $39,570 with 36 warrants, and 13 of those are payroll warrants. So we hope to have all these warrants processed and submitted to Treasury by close of business tomorrow so that they can begin disbursement. So hopefully will get things going. Also, working with the trustees on kind of modifying our pre and post audit process in hopes of that it's a little more consistent in developing a cover sheet that will follow the packets through each process and each step with sign-offs.
I'm seeing nods, that's a good thing.
Great, we both looked at it, we both said yes.
We like this.
Yeah, so we're gonna pilot it next time and see how it goes.
I saw it and I too thought it was
Yes.
a great step forward. Well, I couldn't help myself. One question, and it's not yours necessarily, but now that you're kind of walking through some of these things, Kim, we had some issues with bills and payments crossing in the mail. At this point, do you feel like we're all caught up and we shouldn't be seeing any more?
I'm having,
What you showed me last time, she showed me that one of our ongoing trash bills was always behind. She went online, found the exact amount and paid the sucker. So we're up to date.
yeah.
Bless you,
The check
thank
going
you.
out.
You're welcome. In
It's
fact,
gonna be the current amount that we owe on the bill. So thank you for doing that.
you're quite
That's a
welcome.
good thing to do.
You're quite welcome. Yeah.
See, I remembered you asked that question.
I live in the internet, so hey.
Yes.
So, and then, do you want me to move on? About financial reports? Well,
Yeah,
given that some of the financial reports have not really been available, because of various and sundry things, what I thought maybe would be something to consider going in the next few months going forward is a way to develop a set of financial key indicators and a report that would be expected on a specific basis. For example, what I have given here, and I'm sorry I didn't bring out copies, but I can pass it around.
well, it'll go on the website.
Okay, it'll go on the website. Anyway, it is basically what would be expected on a monthly basis, a quarterly basis, an annual basis, and then when at the end of the fiscal years, when we do our volume statements, like our consolidated balance sheets or balance sheets and things like that, we do roll everything up into consolidated reports, merging all of our QuickBooks companies together So, but this is just something, like I said, this is food for thought as maybe we move into the next fiscal year. And that will help manage and understand how the flows, ebbs and flows of the cash are in the township. So I'm looking forward to hearing feedback from you guys on this one.
I like it.
Yeah.
Any other questions about financial?
I would appreciate if we could do this. I think it would not only make our end of year GAA discussions significantly and workshops shorter, easier. I think it would make it also more comprehensible for most people who aren't looking at this
Yes,
on a
and-
regular basis.
Exactly, and I think too, one of the challenges will be to make so that what we're presenting, not only to the board, but to the public as well, is clearly understandable and explainable, which sometimes is difficult when you have someone like me who tends to start talking about financial key indicators. And people go,
Well, I would say, and Crystal, to pile on a little bit, I would say it also makes it a more informal conversation, because we'll have a basis of contextualization. So,
Mhm.
thank you, and appreciate that.
Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments about that? If not, we'll move to the cemetery report. I spoke with Brent briefly, and he picked up some additional charts of the plot layouts and is sorting through a number of different artifacts and paperwork. He has told me that he's had a fair bit of interest in additional plots for folks to purchase. He is working with them, but is not going to sell anything until he can definitively say the piece of property is for sale. And I told him I thought that was a good idea. He,
Do you want to see value there?
I'm sorry?
Do you want to see if there's a value there, or is it chicken?
And expects to have that done in fairly short order. I know, Kathy, you've agreed to help him some. Jim, you've also kicked in some help. Chris, I think you have as well. And I just appreciate everyone trying to help out with this. So he's pretty excited and very pumped up, and that's a good thing. Board of Review, I did not hear back from our chair. However, I do know that there will be a Board of Review meeting this coming July. I believe it's July 22nd, if I'm not mistaken. Anyhow, it'll be on the township website, and that will be a regularly scheduled Board of Review meeting. And at that, we will consider poverty exemptions on that. Mr. Fire Chief.
All right, just to give you a heads up. For May, we had 15 medical calls, 2 PDAs, 6 lift assists, a mutual aid call, and a gas leak that comes up to 25 runs. There's one run on here that we did not put in here because we did not respond to it. Apparently we just didn't have anybody around during the day. Also, like to let you know that I did do some checking. The fire chief to the south of us, he makes $700 a month. Their run pay is $24, and anything after that is $14. Meals, I'll just give you a heads up, is $1,500 a month, just to give you a heads up.
Thank you. And doors?
I gotta call them tomorrow.
Okay.
I've been busy today. You know,
That's okay, I mean, but we're
Yeah.
moving progress on that, because
Yeah.
we did approve those, and
yep.
they were flagged as something that needed.
I want to get the concrete taken care of too, so.
And thank you for that information. Museum report. Catherine,
The museum has been open now for 2
could you
weeks.
stand up and speak up so folks have a chance?
The museum is across the parking lot. We've been open for a couple of weeks. We usually open beginning in June. We open on Saturday afternoons and we open around 1, and if there's interest, we stay until 4. If not, we stay for a while. so far, the museum committee this year is myself and Bob Johnson, and we'd be happy to have more people involved in the committee, and always open to suggestions for ways to improve services, make things more relevant. And we also helped with putting the flags out at the cemetery this year, so the Memorial Day flags have all been placed.
Thank you.
They look nice. Yes, they do.
For the board's reference, there is a report from Great Eagle, the enforcement officer, in 8-point font. We spare no effort in trying to condense paperwork. Greg has had a number of call outs and activities that he's working. With that, he's flagged and we're monitoring things. I think the most notable one is Mr. Parkin has received a fair number of neighborhood complaints about that, and he has been working with him. He's written several citations, and in fact, will be appearing in court, or magistrate, I guess it's an informal hearing, near the end of the month. So we're continuing to move down that path again, just for your visibility and awareness. Parks and Rec.
Hi.
Hey, Mary Beth.
Couple updates. One, you might recall last month, we asked for $150 to pay for some stain. And the Meridian kids came and they stained and we ran out of stain. At Harper Park, the picnic table, the upper decorative fence, and I don't know what those things are called, those pieces of, they're like stumps. Pieces of wood so people don't drive around. I don't know what they're called, but we stained them too. It looks really, really nice. The kids did a great job. The lady at the new cafe gave them a cheap lunch deal that, we paid for, and so it was all really nice. The principal of the school came, because several places were doing volunteer. Anyway, he floated by and I floated the next year's project past him and he thought it was a great idea. So if you go to Harper Park, the stain on the surfaces that the sun gets to, they need work. But the verticals are fine for now. So next year, we're gonna get, 15 or 20 kids to stain the big part of Harper, the big wooden walkway, but just the horizontal surfaces, so just the walking surface and the top of the railings. So one of the things I'll be doing here in the next little while is finding out what exact stain was used and what exact color was used, so it'll all match. But the principal thought that was a great idea. I mean, it's the kind of job you can put 20 kids to working on, and they actually won't get in each other's way if you do it right. This is, so I paid for it myself, and then this needs to be reimbursed, and you said it goes to her. Thank you. My address is on there. It was a little more than I asked you guys for, but just paying back for what you guys approved, which was $150. It says on the outside of the envelope.
What was the total amount?
It was $160. And then I had to buy another thing of paint. So just the $150, and I'll learn my lesson until next time to buy 3 gallons of paint, not 2.
I would move to increase the amount to whatever, what is the receipt?
Just say 161, that'll cover.
161.
That's the total?
Yeah,
Right?
I'll second it.
Then you over budget yourself.
I didn't over budget next time. So next time, right, like up to, we usually do like an up to.
I know, I didn't go up
Yeah.
enough last time.
That's okay.
And underspent by 14 cents, so she was below by.
If you say 161, then you're below there.
Yeah, well, thank you. That wasn't necessary.
Okay, any more? Yeah, Crystal, thank you for that. And,
I need a second.
yeah, Kathy did.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, any discussion, folks?
thank you.
Okay, we're spending money, so it's gotta be a roll call. Starkey,
Yes.
Peters, Kathy,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
and Art is a yes.
Well, thank you. The other part of the update was that, as far as the Vanderbush acquisition goes, where we are now is last month you guys approved an assessor. I've emailed the guy twice. Well, let me back
An
up.
appraiser.
Appraiser. sorry, my name is Susan. I let Mr. Vanderbush know that somebody would be calling him. I gave in an email this, praise or phone number to Mr. Vanderbush's number, and I haven't heard back from the guy. I'm gonna be out of town next week, but after that, apparently
He's got a new best friend.
Art says that phone is the way to go with this guy. So he's been silent, which I don't like. Yeah, I will go from there. And thank you for getting the Porta Johns. I knew there was one more thing I wanted to say. Thank you for getting the Porta Johns organized.
You're welcome.
So that's it. That's the update.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's a lot. And by the way, I think it was great getting the high schoolers.
It was awesome. It was awesome. There was one kid that, oh yeah, I've never been here. I said, you can bring your family out to, here. No, it was a good thing. Definitely.
Any other comments? Great. Old business phone system update really quickly.
Planning commission?
Whoop, planning.
Number
Crud. I zipped right by these. I'm sorry, I'm such a crud. Planning commission. I got a report from our planning commissioner. He indicated they held a meeting and elected a new chair, which is Dan Allen. With that, last meeting, you'll recall, we appointed Lynn Arnold to the commission, so we now have a full planning commission. We have another meeting coming up next week on the 18th at Swanton, 7 o'clock here. And it'll be their organizational meeting on that. And I know he's listed a couple of things that they know that they've got to take under consideration: short-term rentals, anti-blight, updating the master plan, dusting off the commission bylaws, and solving world hunger, I think. He said he's got a rather full plate there. Anyhow, very, very appreciative of that work and what's going on there. I got a report from our zoning administrator and enforcement officer. Tim Dana sent me an email. He couldn't make it this evening, but he said he's having fun. He's enjoying it. And candidly, he was very, very grateful and appreciative, Jim, for the time that you gave him. Because apparently he had.
We met a week ago Monday in the office and went over just a general scenario of what you do. And I said, it's a new position. You're a new person. If they don't have a real good drawing, we will make them get a real good drawing. I mean, that's, if you don't have boundaries, you don't know where the setbacks are. If you don't know where your stakes are, you can't say where my property is. So you got a little leeway then, you understand that, because we need to know when someone comes over, asks for a setback, where's your property line? I don't know. That don't work. Okay, so we had a good conversation. We talked for quite a while.
Well, he was very appreciative, so thank you very much.
I do, you know, 'cause we did that together, you and I. But he'll do well.
And then zoning board of appeals code authority, Jim.
A couple things, zoning board of appeals is gonna have to meet because a new member, a chair moved, so we're gonna have a meeting, okay? But you gotta get over to everybody. Do we have a new list of all the members and, you know,
I've got that and I'll get that to you.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate that, and we'll get that. But that's what we're doing. I don't know of anything in the, a couple of people said they need to go to zoning, but actually they need to go to planning first. And we guide them that way, so Crystal, you're gonna have a couple of people coming in for different things. Some secondary rentals and that kind of stuff, we talked about last night, but yeah. Code authority, if you're gonna get a permit, try the new system. It's there. Now Edenville, because we're the first one in the category of the township, we are the guinea pig. And we had a massive test at the last meeting. Everything passed except for one file, when they went to the electrician and didn't calculate the plugs correctly or the outlets correctly. But I think they have it fixed now. But now, we're 100% good on Edenville's code. Now they're gonna transfer that information out to all the other 13 other townships, okay? So everybody should be able to go online get your permit. And if you gotta have a setback drawing, you gotta have that, and won't let you go any further until you produce that. You can upload it, and, scan it in there, whatever you have to do. But, it's gonna save a lot of people, and the inspectors can pull it right up and see what they've got in waiting. And then the secretary in the office will designate on Tuesday and Thursday as we send the inspectors out, which ones he's gotta do, so. It really looks nice, we passed here's the only glitch we have is collecting the money.
Right.
You guys don't mind if we don't collect your money, but, they have one called Snipe. Now, I never heard of Snipe before, okay, for collecting money, then we had to get 3 authorizations through the bank to get Snipe, pay from the Snipe to the bank, so we think we have that fixed. But I'll know in next week's meeting if we have it fixed or not. So. But it's working, it is working, and there are people using it, and I think it's gonna be really sweet when it's up and running totally.
That's great. And that's been a long-term project, you guys.
Yes, it has, and I'm not gonna kid you, it's $15,000 a year, that project. Just that particular project cost the Dakota's only $15,000 plus updates. So that's a big bite that we took out of our budget. Go ahead.
All right, old business. Phone system update. I can tell you that we are moving along with our upgrade, that we have been talking to their configuration engineers, and Spectrum believes that they said by the end of this month, we should have a new phone system installed, which those of us in the office are looking forward to, because the current one is almost impossible to hear anything. And I'm pretty certain that if we can't hear, we can't answer, or what we say may be odd. Anyhow, when you call in the future, after the new system goes live, you'll be given an auto attendant, and you will have 4 choices. Choice number 1 is leave a message for the clerk, number 2, the treasurer, number 3, the supervisor, and then number 4, all else. And it will then come to our emails. So we will get we'll get a transcribed version of that and a audio file. So looks pretty good. And we'll save $1 a month. Go figure how you do that, but Spectrum wanted us to do it. Grant update. Crystal,
I thought we discussed,
you just did.
similar, phone upgrade for the fire department. Coming later.
We want to make sure that this works.
Grant update, we are working on, we just submitted a second grant, and we're in the midst of 2 more. There's not a lot to say about work.
Or different things, or fire,
One is for the fire SCBA here, again, be our 3rd grant that will be submitting for that, and then one is the parkland grant that Tammy actually wrote for the lighting here. That's one.
Any other questions for Crystal? All right, a credit card policy update. Kathy, I think you got some cleaning off and dusting off to do.
Yeah, I think it was at the last board meeting last month where we went ahead and upped the amount that the fire chief spends on credit card, and we changed that to $1,000. And this is the policy, the resolution that indicates that change. I think we voted on it.
Well, we voted to take immediate action, but now we had to clean up the
The
resolution.
resolution,
Yeah.
right.
Do I have a motion to accept the updated? You want to move to?
I'll move it.
Second.
Okay. I would just say thank you for trying to keep us in order and get things done. And I think, Roger, that probably helps you. You can buy more than a box of Band-Aids.
Yep.
Your credit
Appreciate
card.
it. No, I do.
But only one.
We just, only one they have.
All right, roll call vote since we're spending money. Kathy?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Crystal?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. So, great, thank you for that. I'll get that signed and we'll have that in a stack of other resolutions.
Okay.
We got a few we're gonna do tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Quick update, we have a posting that I was going to put on our website for folks who might be interested in the clerk's position. I'm aware we've received some interest in some paperwork already, and we'll be going through that. But just wanted to let folks know we're trying to make that decision as quickly as possible. Candidly, I've been focused pretty much solely on getting this GAA and the budget piece done, because they come after me if I'm not done by the end of the month, and I don't look good in March. All right, now we're moving on to the main event, the GAA overview. In the packet, this would be page 16. And we will have this again. It's on the website now. We'll put the updated one when we pass everything, when it becomes part of the official minutes. The GAA, for those who may not know, is made up of 13 resolutions, and it forms the basis of our budget for the next coming fiscal year. Between a township-wide assessment and county-state revenue sharing, we are expecting to bring in just under $1.5 million for our operating budget for the next year. Now, this does not include two assessments that will be taken up later on in August or September. The first is our solid waste assessment. Right now, we have a new contract. It's been in place, gosh, guys, what, about 15 months? Yeah, I think it was last April that it was approved. When that went through, there was a substantial increase in our monthly service rate. Now, we'd had a surplus in our solid waste or garbage collection account, and so we burned through that, covering the increase. But we are going to have to pass this increased cost on to residents on that, and that will be forthcoming in August or September, like I said. It will be a substantial one, and I just want to let folks know currently.
Can I just burn my stuff?
I would imagine it's likely to be 25% kind of increase. Our rates went up to like a little over $211 a parcel, and we're currently collecting somewhere around $164 a parcel, if my memory serves. And I should not quote numbers because I don't have the exact ones, and someone in the audience may remember the exact numbers and call me out as an idiot.
Yeah, we actually, in winter tax season, we collected roughly $3.99 a parcel. Oh, excuse me, yeah. No, I'm sorry, $135 a parcel.
Yes.
I'm sorry, that was the water assessment. $135 a parcel, and we were under collecting on that by about $30 to $40 per parcel.
And it goes up every,
And we have experienced a 5% increase every year, which we have. So we're now
So-
to the next 5%.
When I burn my stuff.
so anyhow, we'll be taking that up, just so you guys are aware. I didn't have all of the details on that, but we will be having another public hearing going through that, and that will be in either the August or September meeting. The other thing that we are not including in this is the Lake Bottom special assessment, and we're going to do some work to get that special assessment district dusted off. I would imagine, but don't know the exact dollar figures yet, but will probably be on the order of about $100 per parcel for front lot or direct access, or about $50 a parcel for indirect access. on that. And you may recall, we zeroed that out last year, and used what was put aside and saved. We don't have quite enough to cover what we've obligated for, so we'll be having to cover some overages out of the general fund for that as well. But those are missing from this, so that will be coming forth. So this is most everything in our 25-26 budget on that. We will also be holding another special meeting, and I'm sorry for that, between now and the end of June, because by law, we have to make sure that we do not overspend any of our budgeted items. Unfortunately, we do not have a good accounting of what was spent year to date. The Treasury Department is jumping in with both feet and are trying to help update our general ledger so that we will have numbers to reflect that. I've asked them if they can complete that work by June 20th. Once we get a chance to do a quick sanity check, we'll get a special meeting called, and we just have to do some resolutions. I would expect it to be a fairly quick meeting, guys, but again, this is one of the things that we have to complete. And it's one of the few thou shalt that appear in Michigan law. So just to let folks know, that's kind of where we are. I also, taking a piece of advice from a very wise former supervisor, will be putting together a more formal and comprehensive update of the GAA and budget in my supervisor's update that'll be put on the website probably near the end of the month. I will try to get it done before July 4th, but I cannot promise, guys. I will do the best I can.
Mayor, if I may, talking about the weed assessment.
Yep.
Okay, and that is a special district, separate from anything else. That is an assessment for front lot and back lot owners. If we take it out of the general fund, it's gonna have to be paid back from that fund. We can't spend general fund money on a special assessment. We understand that. And we said that we're quickly over that, but we have to pay the general fund back once we get the, yeah, because we can't do a special assessment. That's right.
Okay, thanks, Jim.
Because not everybody lives on a lake and not everybody's destination. Well, with the pond, I should say pond.
And someone called it a ditch. With that, now with that being said, I want to move us on to the start of review of the resolutions that make up the GAA. The first one is the overall big picture resolution, and that would be Resolution 2506, appearing on page 18 of your packets, and it goes on until page 20. And that's kind of a macro view of things. It talks about the township millage, though it doesn't set the millage. That's done in the next resolution. By the way, I've learned quite a bit trying to go through and put this together, and I ask for your indulgence. There's probably a mistake or two I know I've already caught. Had a couple of typos that have been caught. I plan on holding public comment for that after we get through the first couple of these resolutions. Each of the special assessment districts will have its own public comment time for them. So the first special assessment, it calls and talks about the GAA as the budget as a whole. It says that we were posted and noticed. It talks about our millage rate, that the township millage rate is 1.094 mils, and that's been the same for a number of years now. The fire department has 2 millages that we assess, a operations millage, which is 1.25 mils, and then a capital assessment of 0.65 mils. We built our budget, or the GAA, through a series of cost centers. These are based around our different departments of operation, but it's also tied closely to the chart of accounts or the ledger numbers that are specified by the Michigan State Legislature. So we
Will
don't
this
have.
be on the website? Will this, okay, cause I don't wanna
It's
write.
already, it's all there in the meeting packet. This is page 18. With that. In there, section 5, it says that we as a township have to pay our bills, and we're authorized to pay the bills. We ought to do so in a way that avoids late penalties. And it gives us some guidance on how we do that. Section 6 talks about the salaries. We will have individual resolutions for the supervisor, clerk, treasurer, and trustees, because we are elected officials. Then the assessors, deputy clerk, deputy treasurer, board of review, election workers, planning commission, zoning board of appeals, cemetery manager, fire chief, deputy fire chief, fire department captain, fire department secretary, fire department meeting pay, and then fire department run pay are all set forth on page 19 of that. I will tell you that most of these are flat from last year. You'll recall when I took office, there was a bit of a confusion. Historically, the supervisor was paid $15,585 or $15,800, and the GAA set it at $15,500. I put mine down for $15,500 this year going forward. Clerks and treasurers both are flat at $24,036.06.
You mean stays the same?
Yes.
Okay.
And the trustees are flat or stay the same. And that was previously quoted as a monthly. We are now just quoting it as an annualized salary of $52,17. And there'll be some meeting per diem that's called out in their special. Assessor salary of $34,000. The deputy clerks and deputy treasurers are both at $6,000. Board of review gets $50 per meeting, or $15 per hour for the appeals meeting, which occurs in March. Election workers get $15 an hour. The planning commission receives $50. The planning commission members get $50 per meeting, except the secretary gets an additional $25, and the secretary is elected by the planning commission at large. The zoning board of appeals, the same thing. They have $50 per member per meeting, plus the secretary gets a differential of $25 or $75 per meeting. We call out our cemetery manager of $2,400. Fire chief, we did increase the fire chief's salary up $500 to $5,000. The deputy fire chief is $1,500. The fire department captains, of which we are converting our training officer position into a second captain's, so that we have a captain now for each of our fire stations. Roger made a very cogent argument that that was the thing to do. I appreciate him taking the time to put that together. With that, so we will have 2 captains. And then the fire department secretary, we recognize that she's been doing a lot of additional paperwork, especially for insurance, and so we upped her salary by $100 per year. Fire department meetings were and continue to be $20 per meeting, and we then went and we adjusted their per run to $30 per run, per firefighter per run. They don't just get $30 and divide it up by all the firefighters. So,
I have some questions, I'm not sure if you can answer them or Roger you can, but so for the fire department captain, we have here $800 for the two captains. Is that quarterly,
That would be quoted, right?
800? That
Well,
wouldn't be
that would be
salary.
like half, that would be half of that. So they'd get half that pay, 400 for the first half, quarter, not quarter, but half.
that's,
So it's
that's
biannually?
that's in,
So each fire captain will receive $400 per year. Is this
400 for the first, for the, like, July.
$800
Then
per half.
December, they'll get another 400.
Okay. So 800 is not, it's not quarterly, it's biannually and then times two, so really that budget should be 1,600, right, okay. And and the secretary that's biannually to the $600?
Same.
Thank you, Roger.
I would also note that board of review members and election workers will get a $20 per diem for days worked for meetings lasting longer than 8 hours. And for the board of review, that's going for the two general appeals meetings that occur in March. That's open to the public, and then the election workers whenever there's an election.
So I have a question about that. In the past, both board of review and election workers were provided food. Does that mean that that will not be the case? Where the per diem will be provided, we will be responsible for bringing or going to.
And I'm more than willing to work with the clerk for the election workers and the board of review chair to say if they'd rather us just provide it, we'll do something kind of like that in kind.
Okay, just want to make sure it's not a little bit.
Section 7 then says we want to talk about overall expenditures and summaries, and I would call your attention to the next page, page 21, which ought to look a whole lot familiar because it's the same numbers that we went over in the wrap-up for the workshop on the 27th of May. In there, it does have some adjustments, Jim and Crystal, that you provided, but in general, we are looking at an expense budget of $1.626749 million. That is down from last year's projected budget by $157,890. So we've actually taken money out of.
You might want to be a little louder with the mower.
Okay. We're basically planning on spending $160,000 less than we did last year on that. Our proposed income is only $141.457 million. So we will be projecting again to spend next year $170,000 more than we're bringing in, and that will come out of our savings in the township. And that really is due to an over-allocation to road maintenance. Folks may have recalled that we had a coffee with the council a couple of weeks ago. Well, it was just a couple, it was in May, but just a couple of weeks ago, where we had the road commission come in, and Art Buck did an excellent job of walking us through what roads we're responsible for, the kind of work we do on the roads, and what he had from his professional opinion as the maintainer of the roads, what it would take to keep us at the current status of roads that we have right now. And he indicated that we needed to be spending somewhere between $300,000 and $350,000 a year for the next 5 years to just keep the roads in the current state. And I think we can all agree that there are some roads that are in pretty darn good shape, and then there are some others that could use some love. And what we're trying to do is balance that out. Now, if we get a windfall and we can get work done without spending the money, that would be great. I don't anticipate that, but I did want folks to understand this is where we are. I think before my time in the township, apparently there was a time when we did get a little bit behind in our road maintenance, and it was extremely painful. So I've gotten a lot of counsel from my colleagues on the board, but also from prior supervisors that you just don't want to let the roads go to pot on that. So that makes up that. Section 8 of the resolution talks about periodic financial reports. And it says that the clerk will provide quarterly updates to the board. And we're going to exercise that a little bit more rigorously. While this is what the resolution's calling for, we'll be looking at it on a month-by-month basis going forward. And then section 9 is my favorite, where it says, hey, we've got to square up at the end of the fiscal, by the end of the fiscal year. It says, as soon as we discover a material difference, we are to make reallocations with that. I'm going to include the next couple of resolutions before we take public comment on that, because they're all kind of interrelated to one another. The next resolution is 2507, and it's pretty simple. It's on page 22, and it just sets our millage rate, which we had talked about in the previous resolution. And it's flat again this coming year of 1.0940 mils. Page 24 talks about the supervisor's salary. And again, as I pointed out, it's flat or unchanged from this fiscal year, and it is $15,500. The clerk's salary is on page 26, and that again is also flat or unchanged from this year, and that will be $24,036.06. Page 28 is the treasurer's salary, and that will also be flat for the year, coming year, and that is $24,036.06. Finally, we get to the treasurer's salary. The trustee's salary.
I caught it, but not after I left office.
Oh, wow. Anyhow, 2510 will be amended to say trustee's salary. And I'm sorry, 2511 will be amended to say trustees. And yes, folks, I did cut and paste, so you caught me. We will change it from a monthly to an annual, and that's the 5217. That is flat year over year, so there's no change or increase for that. And they also get an additional stipend of $50 a meeting per diem.
Not these meetings, the other meetings.
Yeah.
Not this meeting, but other meetings that they attend on behalf of the township.
I think we need the, you got.
And I pulled
there.
that out. Yeah, Crystal coached me on that. So. Yeah. And that is all we have for township business things. So I will open the floor for public comment at 7:28.
We might get out of here before 10.
Now, please don't jinx me. I've been working hard to move us along, but yes, ma'am, that's the intent. Any more public comment?
I do have one.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
don't like the sign when I come in about, I understand the board not being a part of any of, Facebook, gossip websites, whatnot, but you're singling out one. Sanford, Edenville, there's several of them here, and for you to just list one, it's very slighted. You know, it's very biased, it's very judgmental, and I think you should just put none. If you're gonna put up a sign, instead of just listing one, unless you wanna list them all. You know, don't just single out one.
Thank you. Anything else?
I'm just gonna holler about the cemetery again, I always do.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I mean, they're staining and everything, the parks, the cemetery hasn't had anything done to it in 20 years, I don't think.
Actually, that's not entirely accurate, ma'am. We've invested quite a bit, about $6,000.
More than, we
Um,
probably double that,
Yeah.
double that.
in
probably.
pulling down trees and having.
Oh, well,
trees
yeah,
trimmed.
because there was trees that were gonna fall down, but I mean, the gates look horrible, I mean, you go over to Midland Cemetery and it looks decent. You come in here, you drive in and you think, God, don't they care?
Okay.
I mean, seriously, I'll go paint them if you wanna buy me the paint, but
Talking about the old cemetery,
no, the new one.
the white fence.
The gates where you drive in, and the potholes that are gonna ruin my tires.
Yeah. We're gonna work on those potholes for sure.
Yeah, I was actually through the cemetery today and paint is peeling off of the.
Horribly,
gates.
horribly.
And it needs to be wired, brushed and repainted,
Okay.
so.
I think I saw you.
Yeah. We just drove through.
Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Any other public comment? We'll close public comment at 7:30. On that. All right, we're now on to resolution 2512. And the next couple are dealing with our private road special assessment districts on that. There are a number of private roads in the township, and the residents on those roads are responsible for their maintenance, and the township collects the money and helps facilitate some of that maintenance work on that. The first one we're talking about is Lakeview subdivision, which is Wixom, Beach, and Door Roads. And they had their assessment district reaffirmed in 2015. And in 2015, they set a base amount that they could be assessed at $38.24 per parcel, with an escalation of 3% per year. And if you do the math, and I did, and I put it on a spreadsheet that's included later in this package, that says that we could assess up to $51.39 per parcel on that. I am unaware of any expenses they had on that special assessment district, but I am flying somewhat blind because I don't have all of the expenses categorized, but I'm not aware of anything. Someone did ask me to call and ask about snow plowing, about that, and I did, and they, Delisle does not do snow plowing for anyone except for, I think, Fox. So, and there's the one other one, and I forget that one.
Woodland.
Yes, and those are the only two. And so, folks, last year, the board took it down to $0 for that special assessment. And candidly, I felt, and I've talked to the rest of the board here, that we ought to put a $20 amount in. That allows us to build up a little bit of a fund for the residents on that road. Should there be a pothole that needs fixing or some unanticipated maintenance, it just allows us to get a little bit ahead. That maybe we'll have like couple $1,000s in the fund. And so when you get that $5,000 bill, we only have to come around and look for part of that, not the whole thing. So you will see that in the rest of the special assessment districts. We took either what was assessed and rounded it up to like the nearest $5 to $10, or we put a $20 in where there wasn't. And this money is actually separate, put aside and kept in a separate fund and accounted for differently than the rest of the township's operating funds. So to Jim's point earlier, we don't commingle anything there on that. So since this impacts the residents of the Lakeview subdivision, I would add and open the floor for public comments at 7:34. Are there any public comments? Are there any public comments? Are there any public comments? Hearing none, I close it at 7:34. Board, any comments?
Do we have the balances on those accounts
There later.
later in the package?
We've just got the summation. We're still trying to sort out how much is for each road.
Okay, so we're
And
talking
that-
about the earlier.
And that's a piece of work that's ongoing.
Okay.
All right, 21K, moving right along. We're now going to talk about Sanford Lake Estates Special Assessment District. And in 2015, their special assessment district was rebaselined, and they set a floor of $75.54 per parcel. And with the same 3% annual escalation, that means this year, they could be assessed up to $101.52 on that. Last year, they were assessed nothing, and to the best of our knowledge, they had no bills for that private road. I, again, following the same logic, put in a $20 assessment per parcel. I reviewed that with my fellow board members and had general support for that as well. I would open the floor at 7:36 for public comment. Any public comment? Any public comment? Any public comment? Hearing none, I'm closing it at 7:36 for that. Resolution 21M.
You missed that.
Nope, 21L, I'm sorry, trying to get it. Yes, I want to get out of here before 10 o'clock. That is Woodland Estates. And as I recall, they have started a floor of $19.89 per parcel. And at the 3% annual escalation allows that to go up to $26.73 on that. They had a billing 2 years ago of $619, which equates to $20.49 per parcel. I'm assuming they had a similar kind of cost for this past year, and so in proposing a $25 per parcel on that, with that. And again, as I spoke of, this is consistent with what we've seen and done for others on that. I would open to the floor any public comment. Any public comment? Any public comment? Hearing none, I will open and close it at 7:37 for Woodlawn. Do my fellow board members have any? All right, Resolution 21.M 2515, the Bluff Creek Special Assessment District. They had a floor of $37.50 in 2015 when that SAD was reviewed, and it had a 3% escalation clause in it. That means for 2025, they could be assessed up to $50.40 on that. Last year, or 2 years ago, there was no charges against that special assessment district. And again, I apologize, this sounds awful pinheady, and I see some heads nodding, and I apologize, but we have to go through each one of these individually, even though it is kind of wordy. For 25-26, I am proposing, even though there is no known costs associated, I am proposing a $20 per parcel assessment, again, just to build up a little bit of a general fund there on that. And I would say open public comment at 7:39. Any public comment? Any public comment? Any public comment? We'll close it at 7:39. (21.N) resolution number 2516, Campbell Court. And that started off at a floor of $51.50 per parcel, and with a 3% annual escalation says that they could be assessed up to $69.21 per parcel. 2 years ago, they had a total bill of $159.14, which allotted to $53.05 per parcel. So math tells me there were 3 parcels there. I am suggesting that we up that to $55 a parcel, still within their cap, but allows us to, again, cover potential expenses.
There's some language in there.
Yeah, I know, I just caught that.
Oh, there's several.
Yes. Again, I cut and paste, and I will have to go back and change that. Thank you. All right, I will open up the floor for public comment for Campbell Court. Any public comment at 7:41? Any public comment? Any public comment? We'll close the floor for public comment at 7:41. Finally, the last of the private roads is 21.0, and that is the Fox Road Special Assessment District.
It's resolution.
And that is resolution number 2517.
There you go.
And I would be remiss if I didn't point out that this was considered the northern end of Fox Road.
What?
Northern end of Fox Road.
Woodlands, the other side.
A couple of years ago there, and by the way, they had a floor of 2015 of $37.10. In 2025, with a 3% annual escalation, that is $49.86 a parcel that it could be. 2 years ago, it was $44.30 a parcel, and that's what they did last year for that. I am proposing an increase to $45 per parcel to cover things on that. With that, again, a rather modest increase, but again, just within the boundaries of where we are. And with that, I would open us up to public comment at 7:43.
I'd like to public comment.
Yes, ma'am.
The 5100 block of North Fox Road is in terrible shape in front of Gaskell's and Terry's place. I mean, there are just chunks missing. I don't know what they can do, about it, if there's enough, well, even with this modest increase, I don't expect them to surface the whole road, but if they could just
Patch it
that
maybe? Okay.
one spot, it is really bad.
Okay. I will figure out who I have to coordinate that with and see what goes on. I know it'll be,
Estimates back.
yeah.
When we talked about resurfacing it again, and I know that wouldn't stand a snowball's chance, and you know where,
Yeah.
with the lake assessment, I mean, when I even go to try.
Yeah.
Oh, this is all the documentation from years ago, but anyway, we thought we would coordinate it with one of the, like, Saginaw Asphalt, one of the asphalt companies, and when they were doing a small or a bigger project in the area, they could just do that one and it would
Right.
save, and they're not gonna pull in a big truck to do a little patching. Or I used to tell them, I will just make gravy and fill the pothole and it would hold just as well. Anyone's eaten my gravy, they know it would work.
It's the good stuff. All right. I'm not certain anyone can top that public comment. All right, any other public comment? Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Okay, hearing none?
This would be good once we get the information on what's in their balance right now, if we have to proceed in getting some quotes.
We'll do that, and that'll be
Yeah.
in our August meeting.
I told Sharon, I told one of the guys, look at the self-leveling asphalt, you can get it in Menards and different things, but if you got a hole about this big, it takes about 3 bags and it self-levels,
And there might be
It's
some
very
volunteers
minimal.
that would do it.
you know? Yeah,
Yeah, but it is really bad.
yeah, okay.
The next one is 2518, and that is a fire millage. And there are 2 millages that we have. The first one is an operating millage, and the second one is a capital millage. Last year, we had 1.25 mils of the operating and 0.65 mils for the capital. This year's projected budget is $142,150 for operating costs of the fire department. If we assess the 1.25 mils, that generates $152,174 in tax revenues. And we are proposing that we do that. It gives us a little cushion. Candidly, with the increases in salaries and per run, I believe that's money that will cover the vast majority of that for what we see on that. The capital assessment, well, we don't have any formal capital projects laid out. We know we've emptied our capital savings account when we purchased a used truck as well as the new recovery truck. And so I am again proposing that we keep the millage at 0.65, and that generates a revenue stream of $79,130, and that would go for approved capital projects, or it would go into our savings accounts to build up to equities so that we would have money aside to buy a new truck when we need one, which the chief informs me is not more than 10 years down the road. Okay, any public comment on that?
I have a question. This is an increase or this is what
No.
we've already been paying?
It's flat. It's no increase. It's the same.
0.65.
Stay the same.
It's the same.
So this is what was on my tax bill last year?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm just letting you know, someday you might have to raise that, because everybody else is a no.
Yep.
Everyone else is away.
Is a mill. One mill. Just so.
Yeah, when
I'm
you,
just like.
yeah. Well, when a new fire truck costs $1 million,
Yeah.
um,
Scary. Anything you buy for a fire department is expensive.
okay, any other public comment? Any other public comment? Any other public comment? We close public comment at 7:48 as well. All right, then in the packet, you will see, starting at page 61 through, well, 61 has a sheet, all the way up through 71 are the detailed budget sheets. And it is showing where we are allocating and moving money to the various organizations that are reflected in these resolutions. And they are ostensibly or materially the same that was reviewed at May 27th. The changes that did occur were ones that were proposed by the trustees. For things, we included an interest plug where we didn't have it in the revenue stream for the general fund. And then we curtailed some of the Parks and Rec dollar figures down, Crystal, that you had asked for a reduction in the legal printing costs.
Thank you.
Did you want to point out about the deputy supervisor?
Oh, thank you. I eliminated the deputy supervisor position. Thank you for this year. You know, as we get ready for the next election cycle, perhaps we'll put one back in on that. But again, I think that helps just cover some of the other expenditures that we've got and lets us keep things moving along. All right. I would say that concludes our review of the GAA budget sheets. And I would look for a motion to adjourn. Okay, do I have a second?
Okay to do that now. Okay, Caitlin's been walking.
Do I have a second?
He's still.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we stand adjourned. We are going to take a 5-minute break.
You stop my truck, get out.
And we will come back and
But he was
then
doing
hopefully
the
have a
big hill
very
going up.
quick meeting to
It's like, I can't do that.
approve all of the motions. Roll call vote.
Thank you for looking out for me.
Thank you, guys. First of all, I want to send my appreciation to you all for coming and asking great questions and helping us along. And you have been a great audience. I am very appreciative. Thank you.
He mows them on every, he drives sometimes, I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, I know it's been a while now, and you don't know,
Right.
you know, spend doing with your husband or not, you know, but, yeah. Cause I know I don't see Caitlin coming by that often, but I thought maybe she was
Someday
working.
when I don't have anything to do,
On cough drop.
I wanna go